Coming up on this episode.
My first out-of-body experience was in conjunction with an alien abduction experience. I had some ET beings that helped me, and it felt like this just absolute surge of electricity from my head down to my toe, and that I was being just pulled out of my body. So the first couple of times that it happened to me and I was pulled out of my body by these ETs, it was hilarious. I've had some that were really awesome where could fly way up in the clouds, and then I would go see something and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go over there. And I just shoot over there in an instant. It is absolutely 100% real. And I think anybody can do it. We have a lot more abilities than we're told that we have. And you start practicing this stuff and things just open up for you. Come explore the depths of consciousness, where we raise the vibes and open minds.
Welcome to the Grounded Galactic Twins Podcast. I remember to say twins. Yep, I never get to do the intro, but I did this one because you're probably going to do most of the talking on this one, which is going to be about astral projection. So I'm Emily.
I'm Allison.
Welcome.
And let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
You might have heard of astral projection. You might have heard it as an OBE or an out-of-body experience. Yep. Probably a lot of people have heard out-of-body experience in connection with like a near-death experience, or you're driving down the road and you almost get sideswiped by that semi-trailer and you feel like you went out of your body because you were so scared kind of thing. Like it's just an expression, but there actually is, it's a thing. It's a thing. You can't actually go out of your body. So we could get into what is it that's going out of your body? Is it your soul or not? Are you dead or not? We may not really get much into that.
I don't think you're dead.
But no, you're certainly not dead. It's, people call it the silver cord. You're alive. You're a spirit, if you will. Wow, this was my air quote.
Like bear claws.
Well, I mean, just the whole hands, going. Anyway, your spirit, if you will, is always connected to your body, your consciousness, rather. Let me say that. Your consciousness and your body are always connected by a silver cord, but your consciousness can leave your body. That doesn't mean you die in an astral projection. If the silver cord is severed, then yes, there's no longer a connection with your body and your physical body dies. I don't know if you've seen that show Behind Her Eyes, is I think the name of it is. That's a great show.
It's a great
twist ending. I figured it out, right before the last episode. But yeah, it's a good one. And that's a good example of what astral projection or out-of-body experiences can actually be.
That was kind of a scary show, though.
It was
scary.
It was. Now, I don't believe that there's this trading that can happen. Okay. And that show portrays. But as far as when the woman lays down in the bed and can project her consciousness out into the world and can go around and see and hear things, then yes. Now, that's an extremely highly level 100 skill for astral projection. Just like with anything else, there's levels to it. You've got your Pee Wee basketball versus Michael Jordan, okay? The same thing with any sort of psychic ability or intuitive ability. There are stages you have to practice just like you would anything else. So, it's a skill, but it's a skill that anyone can learn. I had done it a few times before I learned some methods. I became really interested in it after I was able to do it on my own a few times, but didn't really know how I could continue to do it intentionally and how I could control where I ended up at. That was kind of the big thing for me because of the way sort of our dimensions and astral planes and things are, I don't know, stacked upon each other and how that all works and where you land. It's kind of like, you're having a bad dream sometimes in astral projections because you're at a place where you don't want to be and you're seeing a whole bunch of things you don't want to see because you've ended up on the lower astral plane. And it's where people go when they dream. So there's all kinds of crazy crap happening there, right? Because that's where people are dreaming at, basically. But there are more higher levels, higher vibrational levels, more benevolent levels where you can go and meet your spirit guides. You can go and meet a Sasquatch. You can go, or you can stay at the level of, and this is the highly, highly skilled astral projection person that can send their consciousness next door and see what that person is doing. and come back and say, I saw you doing XYZ.
Creepy. Don't do that in the astral world, though. Do something good with it.
I don't think people that are that highly skilled would ever have that intention, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it kind of negates itself. What questions do you have for me? I'm sure you have questions.
Okay. What's your first experience like?
My first out-of-body experience was in conjunction with an alien abduction experience. It was one of my first significant ones that I had. The first time I was aware of an astral projection experience, I was assisted. And I think a lot of people this happens to, is like your first one is assisted or helped along by another being so you can feel what it feels like. It's kind of like the first time you accidentally wiggle your ears and like, oh my God, I just wiggled my ears. How'd I do that? How'd I do that? You know, and you can never figure out how to do it again for like a while. Kind of thing. But like if somebody showed you, and then you're like, okay, I know what that feels like now. I think I might be able to do that on my own. So I had some ET beings that helped me. And it felt like this just absolute surge of electricity from my head down to my toe, and that I was being just pulled out of my body. So I knew I was out of body. I could see myself in my bed. I couldn't really see the beings because I couldn't figure out how to direct my consciousness. I couldn't figure out how to, quote, stand or do anything but just be a blob on the floor, basically. Because my mind is going, I don't have legs to work. I don't have legs to work. But it's not also at the same time realizing that you don't need legs to work. You don't need legs to work. So the first couple of times that it happened to me and I was pulled out of my body by these ETs, it was hilarious.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to say
Because
that.
like I would be like turned this way, you know, sideways on the bed, but then I couldn't figure out how to sit up. And sometimes they'd take me off the bed so I'd just be laying on the floor and spinning around in a circle, or I'd try to crawl. And eventually I got to where I could stand and walk around to the other side of the bed. The first time I figured out how to do that, I just had this epiphany that like, well, I can go out the window. If I can figure out how to stand. And so I was standing next to my husband's window and just zoomed out the window. And I came out into the front yard and I could see the moon and the stars. And I was just kind of like looking around the neighborhood. You know, I didn't go in anybody's house or anything like that. You know, I didn't run into any other type of beings, but those were some of my early experiences. So we've talked about Vishen Lakhiani before and his company called Mindvalley, which is an educational company. And they do all kinds of things, but they have a lot of like master classes and things like that. So they had, and it's still on there, her name is Jade Shaw, and you can find her otherwise. I'm sure she has other classes and courses and whatever, but she has a master class on, or it's called a Quest on Mindvalley, and it's all about how to astral project. And so I did that, and she goes through lots of different methods and lots of different resources. And I forget about there's a famous, it's like a center that people go to learn how to like bend spoons and, oh my goodness, I'll have
The
to.
Matrix.
No, you would have heard of it.
The opposite of the Matrix.
You would have heard of it. It's on the East Coast. People go there to learn this type of stuff. It's been around forever. It's the Monroe Institute. The Monroe Institute.
Never heard of it.
You've never heard of that Robert Monroe?
No.
Okay, so he's gone now, but he wrote several books, and not just on astral projection, but like these type of consciousness activities that people can build up and do, you know? And the Monroe Institute is where you can go to learn how to direct your consciousness to do various things like remote viewing, astral projection, bending matter, manipulating matter, channeling. Like there's a lot of manipulating consciousness. So she refers to the Monroe Institute, and through the master class, you know, there's different sections, and she gives you one particular method and then you try it. And then she gives you another method and then you try it, and it's over several days, and you kind of just see what works for you. And so I'll tell you what worked for me, and maybe it will work for you. First and foremost, she says that one, your brain waves kind of have to be in a very relaxed state. So you either need to be in hypnagogic, which is that right before you fall asleep state, or hypnopompic, which is as you're waking up. And I'm sure you felt it. You're groggy. You don't know if you're still in a dream. It's like, that's what you feel like, you know, you're just about to go under. I've had much more success doing it on days when I don't have to wake up early and I can just lay in bed. And I'm like, your body has to be totally dead to you, relaxed. You know what I mean? But your mind is active. That's that state you're trying to get. Your mind is active, but your body is so incredibly relaxed that you get in one of those states, hypnopompic, hypnagogic, you can help yourself with a meditation or whatever. And you imagine that you're doing something like you're rolling out of bed. You're rolling out of bed. You're rolling out of bed. And you just think it in your mind because you've rolled out of bed 100 times. You know what it feels like, right? So it's almost like you're trying to invoke this muscle memory feeling onto your body, but you know your body is not going anywhere. So when you're practicing it during the day, you actually do. You just lay in your bed and you roll back and forth physically. You just roll back and forth a bunch of times and you get used to that. What does that feel like? What does that feel like? What does that feel like? This is the one that worked the best for me. There's so many more that she talks about. And then when you're in that hypnopompic state, you imagine that you're doing it again. You're not moving your body, but you just imagine that repetitive thing that you've done over and over and over. And eventually an arm will come out and then this arm will come out and then you'll roll out your bed. And there you are, standing next to your bed, looking at yourself. And sometimes, like for me, generally the inside of my house is the inside of my house. But as soon as I exit my house, it's like a different world. It can look like my yard, but there are people in it or there's something there. So it's like I know that I'm on the astral plane and I'm not to, whatever other higher planes. So I've had some really disturbing experiences, some really interesting experiences. I've had some that were really awesome where I could fly way up in the clouds and then I would go see something and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go over there. And I just shoot over there in an instant. My most significant one I've had, you go into it with the intention, just like you would do a meditation, something positive. Maybe you want to reach out to your guides or whatever. So I put the intention out there that I wanted to speak to my spirit guides about like life trajectory type of stuff, soul blueprint type of stuff, right? And just ask them questions. And it actually happened. So I went out into the yard. I had telepathic communication with them. I saw an image of one of my guides and I heard some of the others. And I got a download for a book that I'm actually finishing up editing, that my Loner Shark book came in that experience. And just the message that like, yep, you've been saying it forever. You need to start writing. So here's a book for you kind of thing. Like, and they, and so I communicated with my higher mind and then my spirit guide. So my higher mind, I actually got to see like what she looked like. And she's really funny. They're like totally opposite of me, very energetic and bouncing around and wearing bright colors and just very like effervescent. And I'm like, okay, and people wouldn't describe me as that, but my higher mind is just very excited, like, go, 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 and has all these ideas and all this creativity. It's very like Dr. Seuss and, all of that. That's when I really started being serious about writing children's books. So that was my most significant astral projection.
Like some of the things you're describing sound to me like some lucid dreaming experiences I've had. So I don't know if these were actual out of body experiences or not. I just I define them as I'm in a dream state and I'm dreaming. And yeah, I've had a lot of dreams where like I'm waking up in bed, I'm in my house. Usually it's our childhood home and I know I can just bloop through the window. I can bloop down the street, I can climb on top of a building, I can jump off of a building, I can fly. And so I'm curious like what your thoughts are about what's the differences between lucid dreaming and astral projection and
Yeah.
is there overlaps there?
I think there is, because when you've had your first astral projection experience, you will immediately know it's different from any time you've done a lucid dream. So to describe it to somebody who has never had it, but that has had lucid dreams, it's hard to even explain how it would feel different other than it feels like reality. Whereas even in a lucid dream, even when you're in it, you're dreaming. You know what I mean? Your body is back there sleeping and that you're dreaming. But when you're having an astral experience, you're physically taking your consciousness out of your body while you're still awake. Like for me, my body is still awake, even though it's relaxed. So the thing that pisses me off the most about astral projection, especially when I do it in the morning time, because somebody wakes up, the dog barks, whatever, any little noise, my ears will hear. And it's like I immediately get pulled back because I can't hold the vibration. I can't hold the concentration enough to stay away from my body. And it's not like a waking up feeling. It's like a you just walked to the next room feeling. And you do eventually, like, you will feel your feet on the floor, even though you look down and there's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing there. You can't see yourself or whatever. But I've had a lot of just like going to the lower astral and not really liking it. And then and the beings will interact with you and they'll know that you're there and they know that you're astral projecting. And some of them are dreaming. And so they don't really know what's going on. They're just doing whatever's in front of them, following with whatever pops up in front of them. And then there's some that I've had that were kind of a little spooky, where it seemed like they were they knew I was out of body. And so I'm like, look, does this mean they're going to take my body? You know, people have that fear. And
Can
so
they kidnap your consciousness and keep it separate from your
I
body?
would hope not.
Well, I feel like you should be careful
I
if you
would
don't know
hope
the
not.
answer to
Yeah.
that question.
And that's something that Jade addresses, you know, in her class, because she goes through what are the common questions I get, which is, one, do you die? You know, what's your silver cord? What can someone take over your body? What if I can't find my body when I go back? You know, all these worries that people have, which are very valid. And so the first couple times I did it consciously, of course, I'm scared. But that's why you do it when you're in a high vibration and you go in with a positive intention, so that hopefully, you know, you can. For the most part, I don't really go in with a particular intention. I just know that if I don't do this quickly, my body's going to start waking up more and I won't catch that sweet spot. And so sometimes I just pop out as quick as I can because I don't want to miss that time window because I wake up so quickly, you know. It is absolutely 100% real, and I think anybody can do it. You just got to practice at it, just like practicing how to whistle or wiggle your ear.
I couldn't whistle till I was in my 20s.
I can't whistle, but that's because my mouth has a weird shape.
Mine also does too.
My
we
palate,
we
my
have
very narrow palate. Mine is more narrow than
I
yours.
couldn't
I
play
had more issues with my braces. I had to take out more teeth because my palate is so narrow. I cannot whistle.
I couldn't play the flute because of my mouth shape.
You played the flute for a year?
But I couldn't continue to play it because when I blew the air, it didn't go straight down like it's supposed to in the flute. It goes like, boop, it splits. Because I have this thing here. What's this thing called? That thing right there. Anyway, very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. We got to wrap up soon because our tape is going to run out. Yes, we're shooting this on tape. I just want your final thoughts on what is the ultimate sort of purpose of astral projection? What function and value does it have to the person who's astral projecting?
Well, like I said, you know, you can use it to talk to your deceased. You can go to various levels of consciousness, various levels of dimensionality. And of course, there's all types of benefits to that. It also can then make you more lucid in dreams because you start to become more aware of different types of reality. And I've actually had experiences, and Jade talks about this in one of her sessions, is if you realize you're in a lucid dream, you can actually pop into astral projection. And she has various methods to do that. And I have tried that a few times. I haven't been super successful in that method, but one method she talks about is once you realize you're in a lucid dream, doesn't matter what's going on around you at that point, that you like sort of with your hands, just a way for you to visualize it is you draw like a doorway in front of you and then imagine it opening and you step through. And I've had one pretty good OBE from that where I felt like it was like I was transitioning into an OBE. But to me, I think the benefit of it is as humans, we have a lot more abilities than we're told that we have. And you start practicing this stuff and things just open up for you. And it's a fun new playground that you can explore.
Word. Awesome.
Learned.
We learned some things.
Learned so many things.
Great episode.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.